Welcome, wing shooters. August in Vermont. I really love it. It's a great way to end the summer because it still gives you some of that July weather. So you know we're not blowing right through summer. But at the same time, it gives you some wonderful reminders of weather to come. It will throw you some September. And it's been doing that the past 2 days. Prior to which we were in 90-degree weather and stuff like that. But now we're high 60s, low 70s for, a few days, and then we'll probably go back into July. But it's making me think, as I'm sure it is with all of you, that bird season's right around the corner. And the UK obviously has already celebrated their opening day with the glorious 12th. Although it's going to be a tough season for them. I mean, this is the third year in a row that the grouse hatch wasn't quite there. I guess the grouse hatch was there this spring, but unfortunately things got into the heather and stuff, and it did affect what there was for food and cover for the chicks, as well as the fact that the very lousy hatch they had the year before, there wasn't a lot of birds to help bring back the population. So they're going to see another season of closed estates, all for good reason. I mean, that's what we do. We manage, and we make sure that we do the right things to bring back the population. And of course, here in the States, one of I think the greatest traditions there is in wing shooting is opening day of dove, and of course that September 1st really marks that. Even though not all states will start then, but most states will start September 1st, and that's just a wonderful, wonderful American wing shooting tradition, and looking forward to dove hunting myself this year. A few of the things that I want to talk about today is, number one, please check out the website, wildsurroundings.com, or you can get there also, larsjacob.com. I've kind of revamped it, changed it around a little bit, changed its priorities, so to speak. The website now has a tendency to lean more towards Lars Jacob wing shooting, with dedicated pages to Lars Jacob wing shooting and the Legends program of gun search, with the videos and the blogs and the podcasts such as this one to be posted on it. And then has the one page of that has to do with wild surroundings, with several drop downs, with also blogs and video and podcasts and articles. I mean, as much as I love my wing shooting, I also love my fly fishing, my foraging, and everything else, and get a big kick out of talking about that. So that is still there. That page will not go away. But we're going to emphasize more and more and more on the wing shooting. So please, again, check it out. LarsJacob.com, wildsurroundings.com. They'll both get you there. And check out the new digs. The other thing is you'll start seeing more and more, little more and more conversation stuff about this methodology that I call an intuitive approach to instinctive shooting, and it's something that I really think is perfectly suited, absolutely suited for what we like to do. It's not a clay shooting philosophy or methodology, though it can be utilized as that. But this is for the feather shooter. And so what I would like to do is explain a little bit more about what I mean about an intuitive approach to instinctive shooting. Intuition and instinctive, as we most think, is very, very, very much the same or very similar. Though I think you'll find that where the instinctive reaction is more primal and a need to survive, a survival method, the intuitive mind, it can react just as quick as the instinctive mind, but it's the more creative And that's what helps us with our shooting. It's that mind that tells us in a heartbeat how to position ourselves, how to ready ourselves, how to get the information needed from that very quick flushing bird so that we can be successful. So as I think you've heard me say before, the three primary components to successful instinctive shooting is number one, and very obvious, extremely hard focus on the bird. The entire time it's flying, that's extremely hard focus on the bird. Just like the baseball batter looking for the stitches of that fastball. And because of that focus, that baseball batter can get information on now what they're throwing 103 mile an hour fastballs. I mean, this is insane what they're doing now. And still get an idea of which corner of the box that fastball is going to come through and make the adjustments for it. The mind can do that, and we can do that when we're wing shooting. But it takes hard focus. And number two is putting into an inventory, a bag for the intuitive mind, so to speak, an abundance of very high quality muscle memory. And high quality muscle memory takes work to produce. It isn't like you're going to practice gun mount 6 or 7 times as fast as you possibly can, because I'll guarantee you what's going to happen is that the muscle memory will be that of speed, and it'll be that of, okay, we're somewhere close. You're not practicing perfection. To practice perfection, we have to move slow. You have to move slow, painfully slow. It has to be work to embed high quality muscle memory. And what I mean by slow is I don't want you to practice being slow. I want you to slowly practice an efficient and disciplined gun mount. If you can finish a gun mount so it is completely pressed into its anchor points in a very slow motion speed, drop back down to the exact same ready position, make the exact same move, and finish the exact same place every single time, then you will put into muscle memory the perfect gun mount. And even in an unperfect scenario, the intuitive mind will get that gun into that position as best as it can and still give you the better chance of success. So high quality muscle memory, just like every other sport you ever played. To have fun in that sport, you got to work for it, okay? And that's what you got to work for it with shotgunning as well. That practice shouldn't be, okay, I'm just going to do this quick and have it, just much fun as shooting itself. No, it's got to feel like the swinging of the tennis racket, the taking unbelievable number of free throw shots to become good at basketball. All this stuff requires work, including wing shooting. The third component, absolutely total 100% faith in your gut reaction, your intuitive mind, your gut reaction. When it all comes together, win or lose, squeeze the trigger. Okay? Don't sit there and say, wow, I got to here efficiently. I moved very well with and in harmony with that fast moving quail. And now maybe I can perfect something. Make sure that I'm right before I squeeze the trigger. Well, you gained a lot of information on that bird as you were mounting the gun. And then you just threw it out the window. Because now you took everything the intuitive mind learned about that bird, and you said, now I'm going to take the analytical mind and try to make it even better. Yeah, the analytical mind is a wonderful thing. It can be unbelievably precise, but it takes a long time to get there. It's amazing how accurate the intuitive mind is. You got to have faith in it. Win or lose, when it all feels connected, squeeze the trigger. You will win more than you'll lose if you take this approach and be consistent with it and trust it. You have to trust it. And you'll be amazed. You'll be absolutely amazed when you sit there and you say, wow, I didn't even look at the gun, or I didn't really check and make sure everything was in place before I squeezed the trigger, and yet that bird fell. That's what it's all about. That's why we practice that gun mount. That's why we go to an expert and have a fitted gun, which, by the way, is not black magic. I'm just going to go off on a quick tangent here about gun fitting. It's that the gun fitting doesn't override bad technique. What it does is it enhances great technique. Okay, it takes that good technique that you've practiced until the point that it is forgotten in muscle memory, and it enhances it. It makes it better. It makes it even more efficient. It makes it quicker to happen, all because of a fitted gun. So it's all of those things together that help fill your game bag and make your dog happy. So this is what the methodology I'm working with. How it works is simply this. You know, I get there's two comments that I hear a lot from, and one is I got to get, when I tell them I'm going to slow you down, and they say, well, you got to get on these birds fast. You don't understand. These are wild birds. These are very fast birds. You got to get on them fast. And I said, I'm going to help you get on them fast. I'm going to help you get on them faster than you're getting on them by slowing you down. The thing is you may be moving fast. You may be moving at an incredibly faster speed than the bird is, but you're not getting on them fast. You just think you're getting on them fast because you're mounting the gun fast and then you're chasing after. Okay? So what you're doing is you're forcing yourself to have to move fast because you are taking the longest route to that bird. You're separating things that have to connect. You're separating stock connection to face to muzzle connection to bird. There's absolutely no reason why you can't have the stock hit your cheek and the muzzle hit the bird the exact same time. All right? Now, how do we do that? Here's the other thing that people tell me. When they're out there, when you're working your dog, they go out there in the field without the gun, right? Maybe it's this time of year when we know the young birds are mature enough to handle that little bit of pressure, and we're wanting to get the dog back into working fitness, as well as also get their mindset back into bird scent. And also you're going out and checking your coverts and seeing what kind of population of birds there are. Either way, you're going out without a gun, and the dog's going to get birdie, or he's going to lock up, and the bird will flush. And you'll sit there and say, wow, how come I don't get those lollipops? How come I don't get a bird moving that slow when I'm actually carrying a gun? How is it that that bird is always, it seems like every bird you flush when you're not carrying a gun looks like they're as easy as can be. And you think that they're moving faster when you're out hunting. They don't have that ability to reason. They have the instinct to survive, but they don't have the ability to reason. And what's happening is that you are watching that bird flush right to where you last see the bird fly away. You have eye contact, visual contact on that bird its entire. Anyway, so there's a little visual hiccup there, so bear with me here. But as I was saying, what was happening is that when that bird flushed, you had visual contact with that bird its entire flight. From the time you first saw it come off the ground in front of your dog, right to the point where it went out of sight, or maybe came back down, who knows. But you saw it and you watched it move at its actual flight speed. And you say, I can't believe that, they aren't giving me those kind of shots when I'm carrying a gun. So what we have to do is we have to duplicate that in our move, mount, shoot sequence. Okay, what's been going on is the reason for the I need to get on fast and the fast movement is because the inefficient movement forces you to move so darn fast. And so that makes the bird look like it's going much, much faster than it really is. We need to be able to touch that bird with the muzzle at the exact same time our stock hits the cheek. We need to create a game of acceleration, not deceleration. And that's what's happening when you moved into separate motions, a gun mount, and then relocate the bird. You are then trying to take a shot at a bird that you got very minimal information from because you just barely got back in contact with that bird at the same time you squeezed in the trigger. But if you can move in harmony with that bird while you're mounting and have that visual contact its entire time, you're gathering information then. That's when you're gathering all the information you need for the intuitive mind to say, this is what you got to do, this is how much faster you got to do at the end of the stroke to be successful. So that's why when we do it correctly, it's a game of acceleration, not deceleration. As soon as you hit your cheeks, I know where you're going, you accelerate and squeeze the trigger at the same time. So now, due to that efficiency of movement, you have made the bird look much, much slower because you never lost visual contact, and you've gotten tons and tons of information for the intuitive mind to work with. And so this is the approach we got to learn. This is the methodology we got to learn. This is how instinctive shooting works. You still have to gather information. There has to be something there. And that's how you gather information. Unlike the clay shooter who gets to use the analytical mind and create that information and create a plan and then apply it. And the other thing to take into consideration here too, and this goes back to that high quality muscle memory, is I do have shooters, well, I'll get them to stand with a tight stance because we need a stance of mobility so that we can make the adjustments necessary on that bird's flight path with minimal adjustments and so on and so forth. And they say, well, I'm not, I don't hunt quail, or I don't hunt grouse in particular, and woodcock in this perfect condition that we're standing on here, this flat ground, mowed grass, what have you, and can start from this rock solid ready position every time. So then you try to practice like you're in a stubble field when you're not. Well, you're not gaining any good muscle memory there because now the intuitive mind is still confused with what to do when it does get into other different terrains. So what you do is you shoot with absolute perfection if you're in a perfect environment. You do all the movements as compact and as efficient as possible, and that's so you're embedding the muscle memory perfection. And then the intuitive mind, when you're out in those field in those awkward positions, it takes just the smaller adjustments. Otherwise, we make big adjustments, and if we move big, we're moving way too big downrange because everything you do is exaggerated 10, 12 times downrange. So you make the smaller adjustments appropriate to the terrain you're in at that time, and this will definitely, by all means, create more success. It will definitely help you readjust to an angle of a bird. And same thing with that ready position. If you're shooting from that ready position that you see me teach, where the muzzle's underneath your line of sight, so that we can make these very, very consistent gun mounts. If you practice that in your idyllic condition, in your perfect world, as you practice on clay targets, you'll take that in the field without even thinking about it. When that bird flushes off to one side or the other that you don't see, which is about 75% of the time, is you hear them before you see them. As you change your body posture and adjust and look for that bird, you're dropping that muzzle down from port arms and closer to your line of sight so that when you do make visual contact, then you can react to that bird and gather that information the same way as you were in that perfect environment. It's not an additional movement because they're all movements that are done at the same time. You're not separating movements when you do this correctly. So it takes you no different amount of time to do these movements while maintaining eye contact on that bird as if you were just watching the bird and not shooting at it. It's the same amount of movement. It's all done at the same time. So with all these, with all these practices, that this is what's going to help us put more birds in the bag, be a lot more successful on our shot percentage, and even more importantly, as far as I'm concerned, we owe it to these birds to learn to be the best shots we can be. If we take a poke and hope shot, there's a damn good chance that you're just going to throw a couple of pellets into that bird, that beautiful wild bird, and it's going to die, but it's going to be 300 or 400 yards away and not recovered. And these are just too much of a precious resource to take chances of wasting. It's our job to make sure that we hunt in a way that we bring back the birds we shoot at. I know some hardcore guys with world-class shots on the driven line in the UK who will not shoot if they miss a bird with their first shot. They will not take that second shot. They will not take a shot on a bird where they don't have a following up cleanup shot if necessary. So and that's all. That has nothing to do with their skill. They're not afraid of anything. They can kill birds better than most. They just have discipline and control over themselves, and it's due to, they have ethical reasons for making that practice, and we do too with our birds. It's it is something that we should cherish. I was a crazy man when I was younger. I did this all my life. I was shooting when I was birds behind dogs when I was 9 years old, 10 years old, and I thought those birds would last forever. I mean, going out with Dad and the labs, and they just seem to be everywhere. And now, they're a rare commodity, and we got to take that into consideration. And it's our job to be conservationists as well as sportsmen. It's all the same thing. Like I said, that this is a lot what you're going to, if you come to see me for shooting instruction, this is what I work on. I work on these methodologies that are best for you in bird hunting. This is what's going to help us put more birds in the bag, get the dogs to get more excited and actually bring birds back to you and stuff. And this is a wonderful time of year. This is a wonderful, wonderful sport. It combines camaraderie. It combines watching your best buddy, the four-legged buddies, do their thing that they love so much. And shooting these birds with these beautiful old vintage guns that I love so much. It's a very special thing. Again, there'll be a lot more to come, podcasts and videocasts, and get on the website, the new website, larsjacob.com, wildsurroundings.com. They'll both get you there. On the blog, you'll find things like There Are No Trees, a little article about how to approach birds in the thick cover of alders and thick aspens and popples that you would find with woodcock and ruffed grouse and blue grouse and things of that nature. An understanding of all the different methodologies that find line and lead. Actually, that kind of just throws me back. I'm freelancing here. Instinctive shooting isn't something that you say, okay, do you shoot instinctively, or you shoot pull away, or you shoot swing through? Instinctive shooting is the foundation of all shooting, okay? When we start talking about things like pull away or swing through, or what you've probably heard me say, butt, belly, beak, bang, which is a pass-through technique. It's a very refined, modified version of swing through. The job of these methodologies is just twofold. It's to give you the path that the bird's flying on, as well as giving you the right acceleration that gives you the forward allowance when it's time to squeeze the trigger. The most important, though, is that line, finding that line. So instinctive shooting, we can give a forward allowance on a bird instinctively in its purest form, as Robert Churchill would have written, where you actually insert, as you move in harmony with that bird, just before you hit your cheek, you insert in front, hit your cheek, and squeeze the trigger. And it is very successful. In fact, it's the preferred method in a woodcock or grouse environment in particular, or blue grouse environment in particular, because of the shortness of window of opportunity. And because of the close yardage, it's much easier for the brain to see the line that the bird is flying on. When you get out into some plain shooting on wild birds, wild pheasant, sharpies, things like that, when they're in the open plains type covers, then we might need to use a pull away type technique. We need a little bit more forward allowance than you would in the close range woods covers. So we utilize a pull away. As you pull away from the head of that bird, you are finding its path, so that when you pull away in front and you're accelerating, and you also know that you are going to miss in front, you know that it's in front of the path it's taking. Ballistically, lead is a lot more forgiving than line. The diameter of your pattern is unforgiving to the path that the bird's flying on, but the string of the shot, the shot string is more forgiving to lead. There are a variety of places you can miss in front and still be successful on that bird. And then butt belly beak bang is by all means the preferred method of very high, very tall, driven bird shooting. Not because of the height and difficulty to see speed in those particular angles of driven bird shooting, but also because of the angle that the bird is coming in. That quartering in angle is probably by far the most difficult angle to shoot at. If it's tall and high and quartering in, you can't tell if that bird will always look like it's rising, and it may not be rising, or it could be rising more than it appears just because of the geometry of its presentation. So the best, you really got to find its line, and that's why we do it. We pass the entire bird, butt, belly, beak, bang, before you get that forward allowance necessary on that particular bird. You create that acceleration and let that intuitive mind tell you how to adjust your shoulders to match that swing line to the bird flight line and things of that nature. So all of these methodologies are strictly for line and lead. Instinctive shooting, the focus that I talked about, the muscle memory, the high quality muscle memory that we need to develop that I talked about, and the gut reaction that I talked about. All of this stuff comes into play no matter what you're shooting, no matter what type of philosophy you're using at the end of your stroke to find line and lead. So the instinctive shooting, these three components that I've just been discussing are a necessity no matter what you shoot. Okay, they are the foundation of all wing shooting. So again, anyways, LarsJacob.com, wildsurrounding.com. Check out the rest of the website and subscribe, because I'll announce these podcasts and videocasts and other things that are happening with both Lars Jacob Wing Shooting and Wild Surroundings in the future. But the season's come upon us. Get ready for it. Get the dogs ready for it. Get excited. Enjoy. Come see me. Gun fittings, shooting instruction. I love talking about guns. And check out Legends program. The Legends gun program is, I can find you that wonderful, wonderful gun you've been looking for. That's going to be as much of your partner as your four-legged bird hunting buddy. But anyways, have fun. Have a good year. Cheers to all. Bye.